He walked in undercover to feel the soul of his restaurant and walked out wondering if it even had one left. They say if you want the truth, just watch how people treat someone they believe has nothing to offer. That thought rang through Marcus Langford's mind as he stepped out of his truck and stared at the flickering green and yellow neon above the entrance. Lang's Smokehouse. He hadn't walked through those doors as a guest in well over a year. As the owner, he was usually tangled up in logistics, vendor calls, or payroll issues behind the scenes. But recently, something had felt off. A few sharp anonymous reviews online, whispers from a couple of long-time customers, things that didn't line up with the place he'd built from scratch. His instincts told him something was slipping. So he did what few owners have the courage to do. He threw on a worn-out pair of jeans with a small tear by the thigh, a washed-out hoodie, and a falcon's cap pulled down just above his eyes. No one would clock him like that, not even the folks on his own payroll. He walked into the diner at exactly 12:38 p.m., right in the middle of the lunch surge. The familiar aroma hit him immediately. Smoked ribs, honey-glazed cornbread, a sharp kick of vinegar-based BBQ in the air. It was the kind of smell that made you forget deadlines and bad news. His late grandfather used to say, "A good plate of food is like a conversation you never want to end." That's what this place was supposed to be, comforting, welcoming, honest. But as Marcus slipped into line and scanned the room, something already felt off-kilter. Not a nod, not a hello. No one even looked up. One of the cashiers, Jordan, a tall kid with tight curls and a look of constant disinterest, was glued to his phone behind the register. Beside him, a girl named Tasha popped her gum loud enough to cut through the Willie Nelson track on the overhead speakers. "Next," Tasha muttered, still scrolling with one thumb. Marcus stepped forward. "Can I get the brisket sandwich with baked beans on the side, please?" Still avoiding eye contact, she tapped her screen. "That all?" He handed over a crumpled 20, took his change, and slid to the side to wait. That's when he heard it. "You see that dude?" Jordan chuckled, tucking his phone away. "Another one of those walk-ins from Midtown. Probably thinks this is a food bank." Tasha snorted. "Bet you he won't tip. They never do. Since they started hiring from that halfway house program or whatever, this place has gone soft." Marcus stiffened. "They say the owner's some hotshot," she went on casually. "Supposed to be this big-deal black guy. But he's never around. Probably chilling in some high-rise downtown, sipping kale smoothies. Meanwhile, we in here doing everything," Jordan laughed. "Bet he don't even know half the crew he hired." Marcus didn't move. He stood perfectly still by the pickup counter. His sandwich was probably already being prepped in the back, but none of that mattered now. They didn't recognize him. No spark of awareness, no second glance. And maybe he should have been furious. He was, to a point. But underneath that slow burn was something heavier. Disappointment. This place was supposed to be different. Lang's Smokehouse wasn't just about smoked meat and comfort food. It was about second chances. It was about honoring where he came from, about building something that gave overlooked people a fair shot. People like him once. But now it sounded like the very people wearing his name on their shirts didn't believe in that mission anymore. He glanced around. A man in a navy blazer sat by the window, frowning at his iced tea. A young mom rocked a stroller gently, trying to soothe a fussy toddler while eyeing a waitress who hadn't come by in nearly 10 minutes. No one was smiling. No one looked at home. Marcus knew in his gut his grandfather wouldn't have recognized this place. He walked back to the counter slowly and said, "Actually, cancel that order." Jordan barely glanced up. "You sure?" "Yeah," Marcus replied, his voice flat. "Lost my appetite." Then he turned, pulled the door shut behind him, and walked to his car. He sat in the driver's seat, both hands resting on the wheel, staring straight ahead. The air inside felt thick. His fingers tapped absently on the dash in a slow, hollow rhythm. He didn't know what stung more, the fact that they didn't recognize him, or the realization that they truly didn't care. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. If there was a rot, he needed to see how deep it went. And before he said a word, he was going to listen. Really listen. He didn't start the engine. Just leaned back into the seat, his hoodie scrunched behind his neck, replaying every word he'd just heard. The casual mockery, the lack of respect. It wasn't just what they said, it was how easily it came out, like it wasn't the first time. Through the windshield, he watched the flow of the day. A teenager in a school jacket grabbing a to-go bag, a construction worker brushing drywall off his pants, a couple arguing under their breath as they slid into a booth. This wasn't just any barbecue joint. This was his name, his grandmother's name, burning in neon above the door. And somehow that glow didn't seem to matter anymore. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. Eventually Marcus stepped out, walked a few blocks down to the gas station on the corner, grabbed a bitter coffee he barely tasted, and circled back around to the alley behind the restaurant. No security cams back there, just a dented steel door used for smoke breaks and a half-cracked kitchen window above it. That's when he heard it. Laughter. A deep, full-bodied belly laugh. Marcus knew that sound anywhere. Reggie. Big Reggie. His grill master. That laugh hadn't changed a bit since the day Marcus took a chance on him, fresh out of a transitional housing program, still unsure if anyone would ever trust him again. Now Reggie was laughing with someone inside, and Marcus, standing beneath the window, kept listening. Reggie had been through it. Rock bottom, broken trust, burned bridges. But he'd worked his way back step by step and built a new name for himself in that kitchen. He even took time to guide the younger guys on the line, showing them how to keep their heads down and their aprons clean. "I'm telling you, man," Jordan's voice echoed from the back. "He ain't coming back. And if he does, bet he walks in wearing a suit and talking like he's the godfather of barbecue or something." Laughter followed. "Yeah," Tasha chimed in. "I call him Mr. Ghost Boss. Got his photo on the wall like some legend, but he never shows up. What kind of owner runs a place like that?" Reggie didn't laugh. Instead, Marcus heard the legs of a chair scrape slowly against the floor. "Y'all do realize he started this spot with like $200 and a busted smoker in his driveway, right?" Reggie's voice was low but firm. "So?" Tasha fired back. "So watch your tone," Reggie muttered. "This ain't just a paycheck to everybody. Some of us remember what this place used to stand for." Silence settled like dust in the room. Jordan scoffed. "Man, calm down. You sound like he passed away or something. All I'm saying is, if he don't care enough to show up, why should we do more than the bare minimum?" Reggie let out a heavy breath that Marcus could hear clear as day through the cracked window. "Keep talking like that and you'll learn real quick why nobody sticks around here. Respect's a two-way street." Marcus took a step back from the wall. Pride flickered in his chest for Reggie, who clearly hadn't forgotten the mission. But shame crept in too. How had Tasha and Jordan slipped past him? When had stepping back turned into disappearing? He heard his grandmother's voice again, soft but firm, from that tiny kitchen in Macon. "You can't plant a garden and forget to water it, baby. Don't matter how good your seeds are." He thought he'd hired the right people. And maybe he had. But he'd left them leaderless. No compass. No presence. No him. And that, somehow, felt worse than being a bad boss. Being a ghost. But he wasn't about to make decisions off half a picture. He needed to see it all, hear everything. That night, Marcus sent a message to the entire team. Mandatory team meeting. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. No exceptions, no emojis, no context, just enough to shake the room. He checked into a quiet hotel on the edge of Marietta, far from his usual haunts, and sat alone at a back table with a coffee and a notepad, scribbling every word, every detail, every feeling. Tomorrow wasn't about firing anyone, not yet. It was about something deeper, resurrecting the soul of a place that used to mean everything. But to do that, he'd have to look his team in the eye, both those pulling it down and those still trying to keep it afloat. And this time, he wouldn't be wearing a hoodie. The next morning hit fast. Marcus barely caught an hour of sleep, not from nerves, but because his brain wouldn't let go. Every moment from the day before kept replaying in his head. Tasha's gum-smacking sarcasm, Jordan's smug grin, and Reggie standing like the last beam in a building slowly caving in. At 8:47 a.m., Marcus sat in his parked SUV just outside the diner. No hoodie this time, no disguise. Just a charcoal blazer over a crisp button-down, denim jeans, and worn leather boots. It was the look he used to wear on casual drop-ins before the world flipped upside down, before the pandemic blurred lines and distanced hearts. From the windshield, he watched them arrive, one by one. Tasha strolled up late, thumbs flying across her screen, eyes glued to whatever drama she was following. Jordan came next, earbuds in, laughing at something only he could hear. Reggie, as always, was first, unlocking the side door with the same key Marcus had handed him personally years ago. Then the rest followed. 2 young dishwashers with backpacks slung over one shoulder, 3 waitresses, and Charisse, the cook he'd taken a gamble on right after she graduated culinary school and couldn't land a job anywhere else. At exactly 9:02, Marcus opened the car door and stepped out. Heads turned. Charisse saw him first. Her eyes widened in surprise. Then Reggie, his gaze steady, his nod subtle but full of meaning, a shared understanding. But Tasha and Jordan, they froze. It was like someone had yanked the sound out of the air around them. Marcus walked past without saying a word, pushing open the front door of his own diner. Inside, the team was gathered loosely around the front booths. Some stood, some hovered, unsure if they were allowed to sit. The tension hung thick like morning humidity. Marcus let the silence breathe longer than was comfortable. Then he cleared his throat. "I won't take much of your time," he began, his voice steady. "But I need to say something. And I need you to really hear it." He paused, scanning the room. "This place, it's named after my grandmother, Eleanor Langford. She passed 15 years ago. But if you'd ever met her, you'd understand why this place is more than just a restaurant. It's more than profits or praise." Charisse's posture shifted. Her eyes softened. Reggie folded his arms, his jaw tight, listening intently. She was the kind of woman who fed people even when they couldn't pay, who gave out second chances like slices of pie. She didn't believe people were broken, just ignored, overlooked. Marcus looked around the room slowly. Tasha was now staring at her sneakers. Jordan looked like he wished the floor would swallow him. When I opened Lang's Smokehouse, I wanted to scale that kitchen of hers, build a space where people could eat, work, feel safe, laugh, and belong. He stepped forward. But yesterday, I came in here just like anyone else. No blazer, no name tag. Ordered a sandwich, stood right there. He pointed to the exact spot by the counter. And I listened. I listened as 2 of my own talked about the ghost owner of this place, said he doesn't show up, said he doesn't care, talked down about new hires like they were garbage. His voice didn't rise. He didn't need it to. The words hit harder in their calm. He didn't need to say their names. Everyone in the room knew. "I heard everything," Marcus said, "and I walked out yesterday without my food, without raising my voice, because I needed to understand where the cracks started." He turned and looked directly at Tasha, then Jordan. "I own this place. I built it with bruised hands and borrowed dollars. But somewhere along the line, I let things slip. I stopped showing up. That part, that's on me." He inhaled slowly, letting the weight of it settle. "But that disrespect, that carelessness, that's on you." The silence in the room was no longer awkward. It was dense, like the truth had taken physical form and sat between them, too big to step around. No one shuffled. No one coughed. A couple of employees didn't even blink. Tasha finally looked up, just barely. Her face held that tight-lipped smirk people wear when they know they're wrong but haven't figured out how to say it. Jordan leaned back on the counter, arms crossed, trying hard to look unfazed, but his foot tapped too fast to be casual. Marcus stepped forward, into the heart of the room. "I'm not here to yell," he said, his voice calm. "But I am here to fix this." He glanced at Reggie, giving him the smallest nod of gratitude. "Some of you all still carry the soul of this place. I see that. I appreciate it more than you know." He turned back to the team. "But the rest of you, you've been clocking in, grabbing your check and treating this place like it doesn't deserve your effort. That ends today." The quiet cracked just slightly when Tiana, a server in her mid-30s with kind eyes and tired hands, raised her hand gently. "Mr. Langford," she said, "I didn't realize you were watching like that. Thank you for showing up." He nodded. "I should have done it sooner. I let my absence become confusion. Let people make up their own stories about who I was and what this place stands for." He turned toward the front again, his voice gathering the room like a tide pulling in the shore. "I'm laying it all out now. New rules, new standards, but also new chances." From his back pocket, he pulled out a folded sheet of paper and held it up. Starting next week, we're doing monthly one-on-one staff check-ins. Not 5-minute hallway small talk. Real conversations. I'll be here twice a week. You'll see my face. You'll feel my presence. And we're bringing back customer feedback cards. Not Yelp reviews. Real ones from the people who sit in these booths every day. Someone near the back muttered, "About time." It wasn't sarcasm. It was quiet hope. "But hear this part loud," Marcus continued, his tone sharpening like steel. "If this ain't the place for you, don't clock in, don't fake it, don't insult the name on that apron or the work others are putting in here. If you can't bring respect into this building, respect for the customers, the food, and the mission, you're free to walk out now. No drama, no hard feelings, just honesty." No one moved. Then Marcus slowly turned toward Jordan and Tasha. They straightened up slightly, but neither spoke. "You two," he said. "Come with me." He walked toward the back hallway near the pantry and held the door open, without a backward glance. After a moment, they followed. The hallway was narrow, lined with old staff photos and shift calendars, the scent of rosemary and grease still lingering faintly in the air. No customers, no distractions, just them, and him. Marcus closed the door gently behind them. "I'm giving you this moment," he said, his voice low and direct. "Tell me what this place means to you, or if it doesn't mean anything at all." Jordan exhaled sharply, gaze shifting to the wall. Tasha crossed her arms, jaw tight. Marcus waited. I just work here," Jordan finally muttered. "It's not personal. It's a paycheck." "Then you've been cashing the wrong kind of check," Marcus replied, not missing a beat. "Because this place was never just about food." Tasha looked at him now, slower, steadier. "Okay. But you weren't around. It felt like you didn't care either." "Fair," Marcus nodded. "That's on me. I stepped away. I shouldn't have." He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes locked on both of them. "But how does that excuse trashing your co-workers, mocking the man who signs your checks? You think that builds a team, builds trust?" Tasha dropped her gaze. She said, barely above a whisper. Jordan didn't respond. Marcus kept going. "I'm not firing you, not today, because maybe what this place needs isn't fewer bodies, it's better ones. People willing to learn, willing to grow." He pointed toward the kitchen door. "You've got one shot, one, to prove you belong here. It starts now. Not with words, with actions, with how you treat people." His voice lowered again. "And if you can't, then don't come back. Simple as that." No one moved. Marcus pushed the door open and walked out, leaving it to them to decide whether to follow. Back in the main room, something had shifted. It wasn't cheerful, but it was awake, alert. He clapped his hands together once. "All right," he called. "We open in 30. Let's see if Ellie's still in this room." People got moving. Quietly, purposefully. Reggie started prepping stations. Charisse checked the oven. Tiana grabbed menus with a focused nod. But Marcus knew it wasn't over, not yet. The real test was coming, and it came right on time. By 12:05 p.m., the lunch line had curled toward the front door, regulars mixed in with first-timers. Kids asked for extra fries. A man in dusty overalls read a crumpled newspaper while sipping sweet tea. Life was pouring back into the diner the way it used to, but Marcus didn't sit back. He stood by the coffee station, notepad in hand, watching, not hovering, not barking orders, just present. Charisse worked the grill like it was second nature. Reggie moved through the kitchen like a man directing an orchestra. Tiana hit every table with a warm smile and a quiet joke that actually landed. But the register, that was the shaky ground. Tasha was trying, that much was clear. She smiled more, stood straighter, said thank you like she meant it. But it was clunky, like someone walking in brand new shoes, not broken in yet. Still, she was trying. And for Marcus Langford, that was a start. Jordan stayed quiet, took orders quickly, avoided eye contact, and slipped into the back any time he could. At 12:46, same time as the day before, Marcus noticed a young man walk in wearing a faded grey hoodie, barely older than 19. Nervous, fidgety, one hand buried in his pocket, eyes scanning the room like he was mapping every exit. Tasha glanced at him for half a second, then looked away like she hadn't. Jordan instinctively stepped back from the register. That's when Reggie emerged from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a towel. He spotted the kid and gave him a single nod. You got this? He asked. The young man hesitated, then approached the counter and spoke softly to Tasha. Can I get the catfish combo? Greens instead of fries. His voice barely made it over the music playing overhead. Tasha tapped the screen. That it? He nodded. She rang it up. Marcus caught her glance toward Jordan, but Jordan didn't meet it. He just turned, folded his arms, and stared away. Order up in 10, Tasha mumbled. Thanks, the kid said. He stepped to the side, holding the receipt like it might slip away if he let go. Marcus had seen enough. When the line thinned out, he walked up to the counter and looked Tasha straight in the eyes. You know who that was? She blinked. No? Should I? Name's Isaiah Penn. Just joined the shelter program last week. Came here on a recommendation. Her mouth parted slightly, but no words came. He's not dangerous, Marcus said. He's not broken. He's just trying to start over, like a lot of people who've worked here before. He let that sit. Tasha's face shifted, barely, but enough. A flicker of something. Guilt, maybe, or realization. He looked like he wanted to disappear, she said quietly. Marcus nodded. That's how most people feel, when the world treats them like they don't matter. She looked down. I'm sorry. I mean that. I know, Marcus replied. But don't say it to me. Say it through how you treat the next 10 people. A few minutes later, Isaiah got his plate. Reggie handed it to him personally, with a smile and a fist bump. That was the moment everything shifted. The rest of the shift moved smoother than it had in weeks, like someone had finally poured the right oil into an old grinding engine. By closing time, the tip jar was full. The kitchen gleamed, and customers lingered just a little longer after their meals. Marcus sat at his usual booth by the window, watching the staff begin their close-out routine. Jordan walked over slowly, wiping his hands with a bar towel. He looked uneasy, but no longer arrogant. I talked too much, he said. Didn't realize how loud I was. Marcus didn't look angry, just steady. You weren't just loud, he said. You were wrong. Jordan nodded. Silence stretched for a beat before Jordan finally said, I don't want to lose this job. I'll do better. Marcus gave a small nod. I believe in second chances, but only when the first one gets owned. Jordan straightened. He turned and walked away, not puffed up, not defeated. Reflective. The culture wasn't healed, but something had cracked open, and light was finally starting to come through. The next morning, Marcus was back before the sun even rose. He stood alone in the still kitchen, coffee mug in hand, staring at an old photo pinned to the corkboard above the prep table. It was his grandmother Ellie in her Sunday best, wide-brimmed church hat, arms folded, smile fierce and loving at the same time. The kind of smile that told you she wouldn't let you slide, but she'd never let you fall. He whispered to the quiet, I almost let this place slip away, Grandma. Then he flipped on the lights. By 8 a.m., the smell of bacon and biscuit dough drifted through the building, soft and warm, like a memory. He'd asked the team to meet again. This time, no surprises. Just a check-in before the breakfast shift began. They gathered in the main dining room, some leaning on counters, others perched in booths. The energy was different, lighter, open. Marcus stepped forward. I want to thank you all for yesterday, he began. For the first time in a long time, this place felt like it used to. A few heads nodded. Reggie smiled quietly from the back. But one good day doesn't fix everything, Marcus added. It just shows who's willing to try. He let that land, then reached under his arm and pulled out 2 folders. This one, he said, lifting the first, is for those who want to stay, who believe in what this place can be again and are willing to show up not just with their bodies but with their hearts. He held up the second folder. This one's for anyone who wants to move on. No judgment, no hard feelings. You sign it, finish today's shift, and you'll walk out with 2 weeks' pay and a letter of recommendation. A quiet ripple moved through the room. Charisse whispered something to Tiana. Jordan looked down at the floor. Tasha rubbed her palms against her jeans. You don't have to decide right now, Marcus said. But by tonight, I'll need an answer. He placed both folders on the counter with care. No shame either way. But don't stay just to collect a paycheck. That's not fair to you, or to the people who walk through that front door expecting something more. That was the end of it. No drama, no long speeches, just a choice. As the team slowly settled into their rhythm, Marcus moved quietly through the kitchen and back to his usual booth by the window. He didn't hover. He didn't micromanage. He trusted that the decisions people made today would speak louder than anything they could perform. By mid-morning, the first form slid across the counter. It was Reggie. "I'm staying," he said, like the answer had never been in doubt. "This place saved me. Time to return the favor." Not long after, Charisse came forward with hers. Then Tiana. One by one, the papers came in, but not all of them. Around 4:15 p.m., Tasha sat across from Marcus in the booth. Her lunch sat untouched. "I think I need to go," she said softly. He met her eyes. "You sure?" She nodded. "I don't think I was ever really meant for a place like this. I was chasing a paycheck. You need people chasing purpose." He didn't try to convince her otherwise. "Thank you for being honest," he said. "You handled today with more grace than I expected. That matters." She gave a faint smile, stood up and walked away, leaving her folded uniform on the seat behind her. Jordan was the last. It was already past closing. The only sounds left were mop buckets rolling across tile and chairs dragging into stacks. He placed his form on the table. "I'm staying," he said, voice steadier than it had been in days. "And I'll earn it this time." Marcus looked him over. "Then don't make me regret it." Jordan let a small grin crack through. "You won't." It wasn't a perfect ending, but maybe that was the point. Real change doesn't arrive like a lightning bolt. It comes when people finally get brave enough to choose it. 1 week later, Ellie's grill felt different. Not louder, not busier, just right. The front bell gave its familiar little ding. The register clicked with rhythm. The kitchen sang again, not with noise, but with purpose. But the biggest shift wasn't the food, it was the people. They greeted customers like neighbors. They laughed, but not at someone's expense. They cleaned tables like someone they loved was about to sit there, because now it mattered. On Thursday, a man in a charcoal suit walked in and sat near the front. First-timer, out-of-towner. He had that stiff, awkward business traveler look, like he wasn't sure if he'd made a mistake walking in. Tiana spotted him before he could even scan the menu. She brought him water with a smile and said, "Catfish is the best today. Just saying." By the time he left, he had 2 takeout boxes for his hotel fridge and a new favorite spot on his map. Marcus watched it all from behind the counter, arms folded, not out of stress this time. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't observing. He was home. Charisse slid a small plate toward him. Peach cobbler with her signature touch. Brown sugar crust. A hint of cinnamon dusted on top. "I fixed it," she said proudly. "Just like Ellie's recipe." He took a bite, smiled instantly. "That's the one," he said, voice warm. "She'd be proud of you." Later that afternoon, Isaiah came back through the door, this time with a grin, hoodie off, shirt tucked in. He'd gotten a job cleaning buses over on Glenwood, just stopped by to thank Reggie. "I'm good, man," Isaiah said, almost surprised by his own words. "First time I've said that in a while." Reggie clapped him on the back. "That's what this place is for." And word started to spread. Not through Yelp, not on Instagram, but the old way. A mother told her sister. A mailman told a retired vet. One of the janitors from the courthouse brought 3 co-workers for lunch. Quietly, Ellie's grill became what it was always supposed to be again. Not perfect, but true. At closing, Marcus walked out to the parking lot alone. He leaned against the brick wall, arms crossed, staring up at the glowing sign. The old green and yellow neon had a flicker now, just one tube dimming in the corner, but he didn't call an electrician. He liked the imperfection. It reminded him the place still had room to grow, just like the people inside. Charisse stepped out a moment later, apron half untied. "You heading out in a few?" "Just giving myself a minute," she said, then paused. He nodded slowly. "I think I am." She smiled and held out a folded piece of paper. "Customer left this on a table, said it was for the owner." He opened it, handwritten, messy, cursive. "Been coming here since y'all opened. Thought I lost the feeling when it changed, but today, It felt like Ellie again. Whoever she was, I can tell she's still here. Thank you. Marcus read it twice, folded it, slipped it into his back pocket like something sacred. Charisse didn't say another word, just smiled again and walked back inside. Marcus stood there a little longer. Then, softly, he whispered, "We're still watering, Grandma," and walked back in. Because no matter what you build in this world, it's not the walls or the logo or the menu that make it matter. It's the people who protect the spirit behind it. Never assume a strong foundation means your work is done. Culture needs maintenance. Respect needs reminders. Second chances need space to grow. Show up for your people, your purpose, and yourself. And if this story hit somewhere real, share it. Not for views, but because someone out there needs to hear it. Someone who stopped showing up. Someone who forgot what they built. Remind them it's not too late to walk back in and fix it.